Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'll be talking about law school drafts. Yes, I've been getting lots of questions, and indeed I understand that it can be very confusing how to handle law school drafts. So today I'll be showing you how I handled it. It can be a lot of drafts, like in civil litigation you can have a lot of drafts, even corporate law practice, but you can actually handle it if you take it step by step, you practice it regularly, and you have a system to properly keep and put out the draft so that you can easily make reference to them. It will be quite easy for you. So I'll be showing you here. So the first thing is you can have a piece of a plain paper like this. This is an A4 paper. You can have a pack or as many as possible. This is where you're going to be putting your drafts. Even though you have them in your notes, you'll be putting them here for ease of reference. So here you find that like when we're giving the first draft, let me say motion or notice in civil litigation, I drafted it out here in this paper, and I had it properly drafted out the way we're given in class. Even if you're not given in class, maybe you're given as an assignment but you're corrected in class, this is the correct copy, and I put it out here. And so I had it here in this paper, and I kept it and said, okay, this is my draft. You see this part where franking is not complete. Of course, you know what franking is. You can put the proper and complete form of franking, but I put it there because I already understand what it is. So I have this draft and I kept it aside. This is one of the drafts in my civil litigation. Now, another draft I had in civil litigation, you can see a copy here. It's a notice of owner's intention to recover possession and notice to quit. I have it on the front page and the back page. You'll be taught this subsequently in civil litigation. But every draft, the point is that every draft should be in a paper. You put them together like this. Every time you have a class and you're giving a draft, you put it together in one paper, you draft and keep them in one place and call it your civil litigation draft. You keep them separately and cover them like this so that as every class is going by, you're having one more draft, you add it to your collection and you keep it somewhere. These are your drafts so that you can really make reference. Now I have another draft here. This one is a notice of extraordinary general meeting. This is corporate law practice. So these are my drafts in corporate law practice. There are so many, but I'll just show you a few of them. So this is also a draft of extract of general meeting appointing trustees. Once the class was over and we're given the draft, I went to my hostel. I drafted it out here properly in the sheet of paper, and I kept it by one side. This is another one. This one is a draft of I think an action in a derivative action. Yeah. So this is another one. Application for registration of a company to CAC. Every time I'm giving a draft, I just come and draft it in an A4 paper. The next class we have, I draft the next one. I keep it in my corporate law side. You're giving civil litigation. Next class, I put in my civil litigation side. You can see this also as another draft. Yeah, this one is a petition on grounds of unfairly prejudicial conduct. You'll be taught the subsequent. Don't be confused. Don't be scared. You get used to them and you understand what they mean. So I draft them together like this every time I'm giving, and I have a place where I keep them. This is a letter of allotment of shares. You'll be taught this when you get to securities. So I put them together and I put them in a place, and I call it my corporate law drafts. I keep it here for safekeeping and for references. So that is kept aside. Now another one, we'll go to property law practice. I have here, this is a deed of lease and tenancy agreement. On the front page, deed of lease. Back page is tenancy agreement. Then I also have a draft of a will. When we're taught wills, this is how we're told to draft wills. So I drafted a standard will, and I put it in my A4 paper and I kept it aside. Please make sure your drafts are standard. Standard, I mean what you are told in class. Every correction you are given on the draft, it should be as you were told in class. Correct draft, so that when you're memorizing and practicing, you won't make mistakes. This is also a draft of the power of attorney, and here I have the parts of the power of attorney listed out so that when I'm reading the draft, I'll also be looking at the parts and I'll get used to it. This is a draft of covenants in a lease. When you get to lease, the lease topic, you'll be told that there are covenants in the lease. Here you see covenant to pay, covenant to repair, covenant to insure. Different kinds of this one was very interesting for me, and I love this particular draft. I was always reciting it. So I put that together and I keep it aside. I have a place where I keep all my property law drafts, and I tag it property law practice drafts. So it's always here. The next class I go to on property law practice, I will add to my collection. This is also professional ethics and skills. These are my drafts in professional ethics and skills. I kept them also in a separate place. So every time we go to the next class or giving the draft, I come back to the hostel, I draft it properly in my piece of paper, and I add it to my collection. So that when I want to say, oh, please, where is that draft for motion ex parte, I can easily go to my civil litigation drafts collection and check it out and find what I want to find. Confirm what I want to confirm. And so that when I'm practicing, I can really say, oh, these are my corporate law drafts. There's no one missing. All drafts are contained there. Don't make a mistake of forgetting some, not putting some. you must always pay attention and make sure your drafts are complete and correct. True, not all drafts will come out in examination, but you cannot tell which one will come out. So it's only when you have them properly stocked like this that you can make reference, study them often, that you can easily know. And sometimes you even keep pictures in your head. Like you see here, I have criminal litigation draft. Criminal litigation doesn't really have a lot of drafts, but the most and important draft, the most popular one you find is drafts of charges. These are drafts of a charge in magistrate courts. You'll be taught how to draft charges across all the courts. So I have that, and then of course letter of application for bail when you get to that point. These are my civil litigation drafts. I had so many of them, but this is just for this purpose. Okay, so I have all of them kept in separate place, and then I used to have a file where I kept them, and this was my file. It's looking good because of course so I put them in the file, and they are safely and securely kept. It's always on my table, my reading table, or in my locker where I keep my books. So once I'm reading civil, how you do this is this: you don't keep it for a special time. There's no special time. You study drafts along with your studies. As you're studying your notes, you study drafts along. So let's say I'm reading motions, for instance, in civil litigation. So once I'm reading motions, I take my draft in civil litigation and I pick up my motions draft and begin to practice the draft. After I've read motions or applications before a court, I study the draft along with it. If I'm reading securities, for instance, I pick out the drafts in securities and I begin to study along with the topic. Do you understand? And then I also set Saturdays aside. I'm also setting Saturdays and Sundays aside for studying drafts, especially because drafts constitute a huge part of your exam, and they carry marks. Trust me, they carry a lot of marks. Don't joke. So on Sundays and Saturdays, I used to study my drafts. I used to pick them out even when I'm walking, taking a walk, going to buy food. I'll just pick up one draft, just be looking through it, walking, talking, reading it, memorizing it, gradually. There is no special time. You have to do it every time because there will be many. Do you understand? Yeah, so, and they can actually be very interesting, and there are sometimes the lecturers may attempt to want to make you memorize the drafts in class, like when it comes to covenants in property law practice, covenants in the lease, and in mortgages too. Lecturers may try to want to make you memorize them. They'll tell you to recite it after them, that the ones you have to recite are the ones you have to even use acronyms to memorize, like in your deeds. There are some acronyms you can formulate to be able to remember the parts of a deed, but all in all, you have to keep memorizing these drafts. You have to keep going back to them every day, and a proper arrangement like this will help you so that you're not confused. Oh, where is my draft in civil? Where is my draft in corporate? What's the draft like in application for this? That will help you keep tabs and be able to do what you need to do properly. I hope this helps. I've been really trying and finding a way to make it easy for you to see, but I believe it's going to help. So I wish you all the best. Take care.